Hello and welcome to the Power of You.
Indeed. Welcome to the Power of You. That's Blaine Bartlett,
that's
world-renowned speaker, authority on leadership globally in everywhere on the planet. And I'm Doland.
And there's nobody else out there but you. So, yeah, Doland, everything that he just said is true about him.
There you go. Perfect. Good afternoon.
Little insight guys here.
Welcome to Power of You. Welcome, Power of You. I'm looking forward to this Power of You today. This is
I am too. The whole idea of leadership and the whole Power of You thing that we're doing here, and I cannot remember how many we've got. We've got a boatload of these episodes that we put up, but they're all things about leadership. Just versions of how do you look at it from this angle, look at it from this angle. Yeah, if you do a top down, if you do a bottom up, what's it look like? That's what we're doing here. And if you notice a leader that is any way, shape, or form effective, there's somebody following them. Why are these followers following? And how do you actually make that happen? I was reminded a long time ago when I was working in Japan.
Yeah.
One of the folks I was working with jokingly said, "There they go. I must hasten after them, for I am their leader."
That's such I've not heard that before. That is such a good statement.
So your followers determine what ends up happening. I don't care what you think of yourself. Your followers have a vision about what's going to be going, and ideally, you're going to be able to organize it in a way that makes sense.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. It is. I love that statement. There they go. Therefore, I must hasten after them.
Yes. There they go.
Yeah. Yeah. There they go. Because I am their leader. No, I love that, and that's why I think this will be a fun conversation because, leaders we have talked. Gosh, we've got a lot of different topics.
Oh,
goodness gracious. Yeah. Goodness gracious. But that's your point, Blaine. I think that, we haven't had that conversation yet around followership. What does that mean?
Yeah, because without a follower, you're dead in the water. And it's not your best friend that you're looking at here. It's, who else are we going to get kind of coming along here rowing the boat?
Yeah. That's when you get up in the morning and you see that big rock that you're going to go push uphill. You're doing it by yourself.
Yeah. And you look over your shoulder and go, wonder what everybody's over there doing.
Exactly. And you end your day by going, why am I so tired?
I'm tired. I mean, all of that stuff, we're going to look at that through the lens of symptoms and through the lens of a leader's mindset and all kinds of stuff today. So strap in. Yes. We're going to have a good one.
Let's do it. Okay.
Here we go. Tally ho.
Welcome to followership.
Why leaders need followers.
Yeah.
Take it away.
Well, so I love starting with this, and of course, we left the word mistakes in, which is, an editor's error. But normally we call these blind spots, but we do make mistakes. I've made a couple, I think, in my career that I come to mind, but I won't fess them up here. But one of the very first things as a blind spot is you treat followers as resources to manage instead of people in the process of choosing to commit. I remember early in my career, there was this mantra that, if they can't do it, I'll just get another one.
Yeah. Oh, I've heard that one. Yeah.
I'll just get someone else. Yeah. And that's that blind spot. That's that mental shift where you're taking that person and you're not looking at them in the process of committing. And we'll talk about where the ideals and what that commitment looks like as we get into this.
Yeah.
But you look at them as a resource, a thing to manage. Parts. Right. This is the thing to manage. It has nothing to do with what's going on in their world. If they're not satisfying or scratching my itch, you're right.
And, it's interesting. I actually looked at the word mistakes when we were editing, prior to that together. And I thought, blind spots, if they're not recognized, actually become a mistake because we
They
end
do.
up repeating over and over and over what could reliably not be repeated if we were aware of it.
True. Very
Oh,
true. So there
yeah,
you go. And thank you for that. I appreciate it. There you go.
yeah,
Oh,
and I love the way that this sentence got put together here. The process of choosing to commit. It's not a one and done.
no.
Not a
Oh,
one and
no.
done. It's yeah, I mean, life moves and stuff happens and new things come in and people are
Right.
continuously each day they come into the office going, am I in or am I out? Yeah, am I out? Am I in
Right.
or am I out? And how do you organize around that? Which is
Yeah.
where you start to get into number two here because you got folks that you got some affinity with, you got some relationship with, and the danger can be that we begin to confuse loyalty. Yeah, they're my people. They're my people. We confuse loyalty with commitment, and we begin to miss the early signs of people starting to disengage.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about what that looks like here in a bit. But yeah, you don't want to confuse loyalty with commitment.
No.
You
Oh,
want
no.
to have loyalty ideally in place, but
Right.
it's not the same animal as commitment.
Right. Loyalty does maintain this. I'm going to set myself to stun here too. There we go. All right.
Okay.
And then you got to do that. And then you assume pay, title, or perks are enough to earn fellowship and followership. And one of the things we've had, and there's a couple of power reviews out there, leaders, as you listen to this, where we talk about the difference between inspiration and motivation.
Yep.
And when you're making this mistake, because I love your point, it is a mistake. It's not a blind spot, it is a mistake. But when you begin to assume that, hey, if I dangle that title, or if I dangle this perk, what's when I led sales teams, global sales teams, the big perk was to come to club, go to club.
Go to club. Yep.
Got to go to club. It's a prestige thing. Did you make club this year? And club's a great thing, but when you're dangling those things out, you're making that assumption, which is that ass of you and me,
Mm-hmm.
that pay, title, or perks, that's enough for them to follow you.
Yes.
Very different than do something as compared to follow you. So
great distinction. Great distinction. And that goes back to that do dynamic. Focus on performance while neglecting personal meaning. What did you do for me today? What did you do for us today? Performance. As opposed to, why did what you did today matter to you?
Yeah.
And if it didn't matter, what do we need to course correct on?
It's so funny. It's because it's that I feel like I've fallen into this ex-sales leader trap. In day 91, right? Quarter's over, the quarter's ended, day 91, day one of the next quarter. Yep. The very first question is, what are you going to do for me this quarter?
Yep.
Which happens, we take that out of that, but I really like that. You focus on performance outcomes while neglecting personal meaning. And it is that what have you done for me lately statement.
Which all of these have symptoms associated with them. I mean, so you look at your organization, it is a system. It's a living, breathing, alive system. And you want to pay attention to, the disease that shows up in any organism. What are some of the first signs that there's a disease, dis-ease? And that's symptomatic. And when you talk about symptoms, it's not just this kind of little acute show up sort of a thing. It's a chronic. Symptoms tend to be chronic over time. Chronic over time. That's the definition of chronic. People capable of doing a lot are basically doing just the minimum. I'm going to do enough to get by. I'm going to do enough to have you stop watching me. And it's going to be pretty much check-a-box oriented, not I'm going to do something because it's meaningful to me and it's outside perhaps of the scope of what I was signed on to do. But if I'm emotionally engaged, I'm going to start noticing things and I'm going to start picking the ball up even though it's not my ball to pick up. I'm going to do something about it, and I'm going to do it in a way that allows for us to move everything forward, not to be disruptive. I don't pick the ball up to be disruptive. I pick it up because it's meaningful to.
Right. Which changes the whole dynamic. I like the number two. It's funny because for number two, high potential talent, disengaging or quietly leaving. One of the things I was looking at, I was fascinated with over the last few days, is I was reading some articles just around recent trends, because we're in a generational switch, right? From Gen Z to now it's Gen Alpha. I think they're calling it Generation Alpha is the next term.
Yeah.
I just know they point at me and go, I get a senior discount. That's all I care about. So I get 10% off of most everything these days. So, or at least I ask for it. But it's interesting because a couple of statistics that came out of this, which goes to followership, that I found fascinating, was in organizations, 52 to 57%. This is a recent study from a couple of different places. 52% to 57% of people in the body of your organization are currently seeking employment elsewhere.
Say that again.
52 to 57% of the people in your organization today are currently seeking employment elsewhere.
Half the people that you think are following you want to be someplace else. That's essentially what you're saying.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And it really was startling to me to kind of think about that and think, yeah, and that's a silent killer.
It is. And it's not only a killer of productivity and effectiveness in the organization, but that moves us into number three. It's actually, there's an emotion. I mean, all of a sudden, the emotional weight, you start carrying the ball. You go home at night going, God, just thinking about, worrying about whoever they will be, the purported followers here. They're home, knocking back a beer, having a glass of wine, going, hey, doors closed on the day. I'm free to be who I want to be. I'm going to go. I don't have to stress or worry about hitting that number, hitting that target. Any of that stuff. My boss has got it. My boss has got it. Or if I've got a problem or something going on in the organization, I'll knock on the door and say, I got this issue. How are you going to handle that for me? Need to have you fix this. I got, Tom over in accounting is just absolutely driving me crazy. Can you do something about that?
Yeah.
I mean, that emotional weight that the leader ends up picking up actually belongs someplace else. Yeah. HBR, Harvard Business Review, wrote an article back in the 70s, I think it was. Who's got the monkey?
Yes.
Remember that article? I mean, it's an old classic. Who's got the monkey? And if you're interested in that, go to the Harvard Business Review site, hbr.com.
Go find it.
And go find it. It's a fascinating read. And essentially what it is that dynamic. Yeah. There's monkeys running around everywhere. And, all of a sudden somebody's got a monkey and they come to you because you're the boss. They want you to take care of the monkey. I'm going to hand you my monkey. You take care of it. You feed it. And when you get it properly trained, give it back to me and I'll do something with it. The monkey goes back to where it's supposed to be, which is in the person that's in the trenches doing the work, because they're the ones that need to fix the monkey.
Yeah. Love that. Read that article. There's a colloquialism that comes out of it that I adopted years and years, decades ago, which was not my monkey, not my parade.
Yeah, I have heard that. Yep.
Then in number 4, the last one, execution slows as belief erodes. So, which kind of hooks into all of these hook together. These symptoms aren't unique and discrete in and unto themselves. They're indicators of things to be watching for in your organization. But the difference between 4 and 1, which is capable people doing the minimum, and in the number 4, execution slows as belief erodes. Belief is eroded, initiative stops. Number 1 is I'm going to do the minimum to get by. Therefore, I'm going to look busy. Initiative means I'm not going to look for new things. I'm not going to innovate. I'm not going to make changes. We could do the Toyota way. I'm not going to push the BRS. So I'm not doing any of that. I'm just going to do what I need to do I'm going to execute at my own pace, and I'm not going to take any initiative. And innovation in your organization slows or stops, which means you're not creating, which means what got you here today won't get you there tomorrow. It comes to life.
Yeah. And yeah, you linked 4 and 1 together, I think, real appropriately here. When belief erodes, meaning has ceased to be present.
Yeah.
Yeah, that over there isn't meaningful to me anymore. So I'm going to just default back to being safe and comfortable. And if we're looking at, high quality leaders need high quality followers. And high quality followers actually are, basically
Well said.
leaders in their own way. They are leaders in their own way. They're leading things that allow you as the formal leader to look at some other stuff. But your followers actually have the responsibility and ultimately the accountability. We'll look at that in a minute. The accountability to make things happen. Yeah, that baton has been passed. Ideally, when you have high quality followers, these symptoms start to disappear when you have high quality followers.
Right. And you suddenly find yourself in a position where loyalty is there, but the moment behind the engine behind loyalty is inspiration. We'll get into with For the Worthy Ideal. And inspiration means people stay with you. I love that quote with Simon Sinek. Leadership is not about being in charge. Leadership is about taking care of those in your charge.
Yep.
Which is another way of saying that I must hasten after them.
Yeah. They evidently don't think I'm taking care of them because they've gone off in their own direction. It's got, come back here. Let's talk about that.
What the heck? Where'd they go? Oh, yeah.
Now, and so part of the question here, when we're looking at followership, curating followers, what does it mean to take care of those that are in your charge? What does taking care look like? It's not about kumbaya. It's not about, they're there, I'm going to make it all better. That's not the kind of care we're talking about.
It is not about being liked.
No.
That's such a confusion for leaders. And we've seen, God, Blaine, how many times have we seen this with our clients and with other people we work? It's not about being liked.
Yep. It's about people feeling valued, feeling as if they got an opportunity to express who they are more fully. It kind of goes back to what's the purpose of business in the first place? The purpose of business is to enhance the experience of being alive on the planet. That's the purpose of business. And if your service or product makes that possible for people, they're going to beat a path to your door. Now, that's the consumer-centric focus on it. It's also true with the employees. Yeah, the folks that actually work with you, do they feel as if they have the opportunity to expand and grow? They feel better about themselves. So there's that whole thing that kind of comes into play with this.
Yeah, very much so.
Which is why we talk about leadership in the way that we talk about it. Okay. Influencing other people. And when we're looking at followership, it's not about commanding people to follow. That dog won't hunt. It just will not work. You walk in the room, and before you've opened your mouth, people start making moves, either towards you and what it is that you're trying to make happen, or neutral, or in reverse. They start going in other directions. So influencing, this is, when we look at communication styles, Alfred Moravian did this study, the Moravian study on, and it's a little bit bastardized, but the way that the meme is structured, only 7% of the actual communication that takes, or the meaning that gets generated in a communication process, is contained in the actual words. 93% is in the non-verbal, non-linguistic. Yeah, the energy, the body posture, the way you move, the bow wake that you generate, all of that stuff, that's influence.
Yeah.
And if you're doing it well, you're going to be in a position to co-create. You're going to have an invitation present for people to participate. And when there's buy-in, you get buy-in through co-creation. That's how you get buy-in. Emotional engagement comes as a consequence of co-creation. Then you have the opportunity to coordinate your movement because you're going to be stepping on each other's toes, guaranteed. And so, how do you, as a leader, effectively use conflict as a mechanism in the process? Conflict has to be present, it can't be eliminated.
Yeah.
Conflict is friction. Friction. You have to have friction in order to generate movement. Yeah. Anybody that's ever been on a sheet of ice will know that one pretty clearly.
Yeah. Yes.
And
Yes.
the catalyst for all of this has to do with this worthy ideal. Yeah. This is where meaning resides. Why? What matters here? What matters? And it's not the vision, it's not the goals, it's not the objectives. Those are just placeholders. You have to go deeper. You have to go deeper. And it's you ask the question, why is this important to you? Why does this matter to you? For you individually, you go around the table. If we did this, if we achieved this, what difference does it make? What do you get to have, do, or be that you wouldn't get to have, do, or be if we didn't do this?
Yeah.
That's where you start dropping into emotional engagement. And that's where your followers start to engage with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
love that. Because
that's the worthy ideal.
In the worthy ideal is so one of the things that just you hit we talk about this all the time with these two pieces of when we define leadership. All the time. Every time we talk to anybody, we talk about this definition. We start here. And it's so interesting, but when you're developing followers and particularly followership, which is a substantive component of servant leadership. When you're developing followership, the worthy ideal, that is their unique worthy ideal. That's them.
Yeah.
That's personal. That's what you can't tell them. You got it, but that's personal.
Yeah.
So leaders, grab a screenshot of that. Get it and go.
I'll bring it back so you can get a screenshot. There you go.
Rewind 2, 3, screenshot. Okay, go. All right, we're ready.
Okay, there we go. So, how do you frame leadership? Okay, that's leaders. The model that most people have in their minds is a command and control model. I mean, that's the default that most people grew up with. It's organizationally specific. If you look at an organizational structure, it's usually based on a pyramid. The people at the top have control and leverage. The people at the bottom need to do what they're told. And that's kind of what goes on here. That's not how you get followers to actually engage with you in a meaningful way. Telling people, anybody that's ever had a kid, particularly a teenager, you telling them what to do doesn't fly very well. There's a point where the people don't like to have the reins of control in their life taken away from them. Okay. Yeah. If one of the telltales, and we'll talk, this is actually a good topic for another power of you, but the whole idea of agency. Yeah. Being able to act as an agent in my pursuit of what it is that I'm saying is important to me. I have control. I have something to say. I can do something. Okay. And which is interesting here, because leaders don't succeed because they have followers. They succeed because people choose to follow. Now, that may seem like a semantical little parsing, but it's hugely important to understand that. Now, you may have people on the org chart that you look at it and you go, well, okay, I've got all these people following me because I'm at this point in the org chart, and they're all down here, and my span of control now is about 70 people. That's what I got charge of, and I got a couple of lieutenants in the mix here. But my followers are that 70, that group of 70. Do they choose to follow you? Now, they show up, they get a paycheck, that kind of stuff. This is where those symptoms come into play here. Are they just doing checkbox stuff, doing just enough to get by, doing just flying under the radar, don't want to be noticed? I'm just, keep my head low, keep my head down. That's not what you're going to do to succeed. You can't have that follower in place. And it's not on them. It's on you as the leader to find a way to emotionally engage them. And that's where that third paragraph comes in.
Yeah. Yeah. It's such, God, it's so important. Well, we could just stay on this slide and not go to we're done at this slide. But
Yeah.
if it's over. But no, it's so important because there is that perception from a hierarchical perspective that this is the people, these are the people that follow it. That's merely their address on the street where they live. That's all it is. It's just the house you've put them in. That's where they live. They don't have to follow you, but followership, when you as a leader, and it was a couple of slides back, we talked a little bit about this, the care, meaning, and direction. And care is that people feel seen and valued. And if you go back to the definition of leadership, which is co-creating coordinated movement, pursuit of a worthy ideal, influencing others, it is that opportunity with your team for them to feel seen and feel valued. It's that adage of when we talk about this too, Blaine, when people go home at night and their partner or their cat or dog asks them, "How was your day?" And they go, "Well, I did my stuff." And there was they weren't seen, and there's no personal value associated with who they are. Care is that. Care is not being liked.
Right.
It is being seen and valued. And meaning is meaning is directly connected to for the sake of what? Work connects to growth and purpose. Purpose is what is the inspiration. Inspiration is what comes from moving confidently towards you for the sake of what? And direction, their efforts got to align to something worthy committing to. So they got to know that it's going to be an imperfect path. And that's part of that co-creating. I had this conversation this past week with a client, and we were talking about the fact to one of the most fun things in business is hiring people who are smarter than you, who know more about what they do than you do, who understand what it means when you do co-creation to actually let them co-create. Don't tell, let them co-create. They're going to figure it out. And direction is that their effort is aligned with something worth that they are committing to. And as a leader, if you can bring those, followership is built when you provide care, meaning, and direction in that context.
And it ends up being in service of a worthy ideal, not personal authority. And I can't stress that one strongly enough. I mean,
Yes.
You look at the world today, and you'll see people, you'll see leaders, quote unquote leaders, political leaders, religious leaders, whatever. But folks that have a name, they have a persona, and they are asking, in some cases, demanding loyalty, allegiance, and alignment to the leader themselves rather than the worthy ideal that is in place here. So, I mean, just if politically, worthy ideal, the Constitution, we the people, as opposed to any particular leader, that may take us in an opposite direction here because they're the leader. That's not the kind of follower that we want to have. We want to have followership that is organized and aligned around worthy ideal. That worthy ideal. That's where you get emotional engagement, and that's also where you get inclusion. And it's interesting here, and I'm going to go out on a limb on this one, but it also invites diversity because you get different voices. And this is a real value in an organization. You get diversity of opinion. You get diversity of points of view.
That's important.
You get color in there that begins to inform that next step. That expands your awareness of what's possible. Leaders create possibility in people's minds.
Yeah.
And that's almost always going to be linked to a worthy ideal that is informed by diversity, and you've invited people to participate. That's the inclusion dynamic.
Yeah.
So that's what we're looking at with this.
Yeah, I love that because that's really important. Just take a pause for it. And leaders, and a lot of times leaders get hung up on. Talk with leaders, and they're hung up on diversity from the perspective of meeting quota.
Yeah,
there's a diversity quota. You want to encourage diversity. There is an old adage I've always told my leadership teams if 3 of us go into a meeting and all three of you agree with me on every meeting we go into, I'm getting 3 other people.
Yep.
I would love to have some diversity. Bring me diversity.
Yeah.
To encourage that. And that is that, to your point, I love that, Blaine, because that is the difference between in service of worthy ideal or authority.
Yep. Big difference between those.
Yeah. Authority is teenagers. But anyway.
Yeah, authority's mom and dad.
That's it. Yes. Anyway. Having had a couple of those in my life, never mind. I won't get into that.
Don't want to go there.
Yeah, but so we talk about, which shifts in the mindset, right? So from a mindset, so how do you, as a leader, what does this mean, right? You see followership as a choice people make, and we've kind of leaned into this. So if we explore that a little bit more, people have a choice on who they follow. It will be divergent, maybe from what you think they should be doing. Remember, their norm is not your norm. Yep. They don't owe you the followership. They choose to follow. So if you go back, I love your analogy of that's why Zappos doesn't do hierarchy. So when you do a hierarchical flow, right, with all of that work, and you look down and go, they're in there. This is the house I put them in. They must follow me.
Mm-hmm.
They have a choice. They are not obligated to follow you.
Yeah.
That's a bitter pill for a leader sometimes.
Oh, it is.
They are not obligated.
You'd like to think they are, but yeah.
Yeah, they could be part of that 52 to 57%.
That's exactly where I was thinking. Yeah, you got half your group looking outside the window, going, "Oh, God, I wish it was over there."
Yeah. Hey, look at the grass over there. That grass looks really green. So,
part of what goes into this, when you begin to really recognize that people have a choice about this, you start questioning, how do I actually facilitate them making the kind of choice that will work for them and for me? It's not just for me. Okay, and that's the difference between manipulation and influence. Right. Manipulation is, I'm going to do this because I benefit. Influence is, I'm going to do this because we are both going to win if this comes off. Well, you win and I win. So part of how you do that is understanding that I care about what you think. I care about what you value. I care about what's important and what matters to you. I care enough to even, literally to ask you that question.
Right.
Why is this important? Which is a question most people don't get asked at work. No. Care builds trust, not dependency. And it's important that we graduate from mom and dad overseeing everything. This whole notion of individuating. Yeah. This is where agency actually does play a big role here. You don't want dependency. Interdependence. I mean, when you look at high-performing teams, there is a significant amount of interdependence. I can't do this unless you actually bring this to the table. Yeah. But I'm going to rely on you to bring this to the table. That interdependence is different than dependence. And I care enough to call you out if you're not bringing it.
Yeah, such a good point. I love that. And then so you recognize that meaning fuels commitment. And then there's just those words, meaning fuels commitment. So in your mindset, leader, you have to be very clear on the meaning. Yep. And their meaning, which means you got to ask them, by the way.
Yeah, funny exactly. How that works. You can't tell them why it's meaningful.
Funny how that works. But you have to be very clear on the meaning. In particular, if you're looking for alignment, right? Where your people are making that choice. And then with motivation, I've teased about this. Go find the leaders listening, go find the Power of You. It's out there somewhere, or we'll tell you another time how to get the whole library some other day. But from a Power of You perspective, there is that intrinsic and extrinsic. Motivation is extrinsic. Motivation is something I get for doing something.
Yep.
Intrinsic is my desire to go do something.
Yeah.
Motivation is I get $50. I had that happen this morning, and I got $50. One of my vendors sent me a note and said, "Hey, if you give us a nice blah 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 truthful thing, we'll send you $50." And I went, "Yeah, right." So I gave him a nice thing, and sure enough, $50. that was I was motivated to take 5 minutes and go do that. It came and it went, and my CEO downstairs took the $50 and it was hers. So there you go. So that's but it's important. The meaning fuels commitment.
Because it's based on inspiration, not motivation. Inspiration, when Doland's talking about intrinsic, it lives inside me. It lives inside each one of your followers. You have to find a way to tap into it. You tap into that, boy, you got people that are committed, and you're going to have to hold them back because this is something that's important to them. Yeah. So you accept responsibility as a leader for the emotional climate that you create. So when we're looking at leadership through the lens of influencing, and I mentioned, I used a word or a phrase right at the beginning here, your bow wake. When a boat moves through the water, and this is true of every boat that moves through the water, they create a wake in front of them. Water moves. And the size of the bow wake is indicative of how much resistance is being generated as the boat moves through the water. And it's also a function of speed and some other things, but it ultimately is how much resistance is being created. The bigger the bow wake, typically the more resistance is being produced. Now, good news is the bigger the bow wake, the more noticing is going on. But if you're running your boat through the marina at 30 knots and you've got boats tipping over on crashing into each other all the time, you're going to have a whole bunch of people that are really PO'd. So your emotional climate is something that you're generating.
Yeah,
Are you aware of it? Yeah. So
I'm sorry. Having been on the water before, we're both watermen.
Yes.
So having been on the water and knowing what the language, the descriptors that can come out when the bow wake actually impacts what's going on. There's lots of adjectives and descriptors that get associated. Sorry, that just brought back.
Oh no, when people say, "God, you talk like a sailor," that's exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah, it happens because you're a waterman, and that's how it goes. But that's so important. That bow wake that you create, it is that ripple impacts everything down the line. And that conversation that's going on in the marina when that big bow wake crosses the boat and that person is aggravated, that is happening in conversations throughout the body of your organization. If that is not cared for with love, care, that bow wake, it is going on. It's going on at the water cooler. It's going on in Zoom meetings.
I was coaching a CEO years ago, and I got to be pretty good friends with his executive assistant. And she had this little messaging system that she used for his team that signaled his emotional state. So on her desk, she had, and you would see these, these little containers where, these things were in there. If she had a flower in that little container, and it was just a little plastic flower sort of thing, he was in a pretty good mood that day. If there was no flower there, danger here. There's danger here. And tread lightly. There's a minefield that you're entering. And she had a way of signaling just kind of where his emotional tenor was, so that the team. Now we ended up talking about that in the coaching session and started on, because he wasn't aware of this. He had no idea she was doing this. And it was not a secret to the team. Wow. People will find a way to do workarounds. They will find a way, and the amount of energy that gets consumed, creative energy, productivity energy that gets consumed trying to manage people's emotional baggage is just crazy making.
Wow.
So you're responsible for that as a leader, and your followers are the ones that end up getting the brunt of it.
Wow. Yes.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Stories.
Yes, we do. And then last bullet. I think we're on the last one. I don't know. I lost track in that conversation.
We're on a roll here.
You commit to growing people, not just their current capability and capacity, which is it could be just those first few words. You commit to growing your people.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like, for the sake of what? committing to grow your team is individualistic. It is unique. And
Yep.
commitment means if you say, I'm going to help you grow this way, you do it.
Yep. And you said something at the very beginning here about replaceable parts. I can get somebody else to do this if you're not willing to do it, sort of a deal. That's when you're focused on using current capabilities and capacity without concern to them growing into position, growing new capabilities, growing new capacity as a consequence of developing greater skills.
Yeah.
And it's expensive to replace people.
Oh,
it's really expensive to replace people.
Yeah, yes.
Not just financially. There's an
So
emotional
many
toll
ways.
that the team takes and everything else.
So many ways. You break trust.
Yep.
All right, governing behaviors. You do the first one.
Okay. As a leader, how do I do this? What do I pay attention to? Well, there are some governing principles that come into play here.
Yes.
Build trust by honoring autonomy and judgment. When we were putting this together, I remembered an old story. We're old enough to have old stories about Nordstrom. Nordstrom's return policy was very interesting. You can return anything, and there's a number of different companies that have adopted that over time. But I remember, and I live in Seattle, where Nordstrom's is headquartered, and I actually checked this story out, and it was true. Somebody brought a tire in, wanted to get their money back for a tire. Nordstrom's doesn't sell tires, but the clerk, the retail person said, "Okay, we'll take it." And so Nordstrom's policy, it was literally a one sentence policy in their employment manual: use your best judgment at all times. And management and leadership trusted people to do that. Now, they trained people in what it meant to be and to use good judgment. All of that was present, but they trusted. And this is how Nordstrom's actually built itself from just a retailer that sold shoes to a significant international retailer, actually. It was based on autonomy and judgment.
Yep. They set the state. They were one of the ones one of several that set the standard there. And love that. The fact that, which is, you said a couple of things there before I go to the next bullet. Not that you don't say things that are important here and there, but in this particular case, well, one of the things leaders, as you're thinking about, build trust by honoring autonomy and judgment. You said it, Blaine, which is autonomy doesn't mean you say go.
Right.
You said trained them for that.
Mm-hmm.
So they understood what autonomy meant. They understood what judgment went, in line with culture, climate, in line with all of that, so that when they had autonomy, there wasn't very rarely were there alignment issues.
Right.
Because they were prepared.
Yeah.
So you just can't say go.
Yeah, and you can't just say go. That's where communicating expectations and intent come into play here. So when we're talking about how do you train your people to be able to take the reins and run with it,
right?
And run with it is kind of what you'd like to have happen, because speed is important in one sense. You have to communicate expectations and intent with clarity and honesty. Intent has to do with aligning to that worthy ideal, aligning to what it is that we say is important from a values perspective, from a cultural perspective. Expectations. We set expectations, and the way that we actually communicate expectations effectively, it's not just about declaring them. It's about accountability. How do you hold accountability in the system so that expectations are understood? They have some teeth. They have some teeth. It's not about punitive action. It's about, here's what we said we were going to do. And this goes back to the whole notion of interdependence. I need to be able to count on you. If I can't count on you, the whole thing starts to collapse.
Yeah, then it's a house of cards.
Yeah, it is.
It's a house of cards. And then we've leaned into this a little bit, invest in growth paths that expand capability and confidence. Capability is, those are two very different things. Capability is my ability to do something. Confidence is my ability to believe something.
Mm-hmm.
And confidence is I have to have confidence in me and confidence in you and confidence in them and confidence in us. And so it's two very, very different things. So invest in those growth paths. So as you're thinking about that, when you're building capability will create confidence in the fact that they can do something to a higher degree. Like I do not have the capability to be your brain surgeon. You don't want me in your brain. But even though I might be confident for that, I've got a Sawzall. I could probably figure it out. But when you're investing in those growth paths, think about that. What am I investing in? I'm investing in their ability to create a broader capability, which in turn there's the bow wake from that is there's benefits to the organization, benefits to them personally as it moves you closer to for the sake of what and your objectives. But confidence, think about that as you're building confidence. What does that mean? And what does that mean to that individual? They don't necessarily equate at parity. So
Yeah, and we do a whole thing on the 4 pillars, which is part of our mastermind group. Our whole mastermind educational platform. When we're looking at capability and confidence, these are 2 elements of trust. Yeah. So when you're talking about can I trust, what you're really referencing is not trust. You're talking about capability, about confidence, about character. You're talking about just kind of a smorgasbord of different things that end up being defined as I can trust or I can't trust. So growth paths that are intended to expand trust require focusing on capability and confidence as some of the elements that you're actually building out here, which leads to that 4th point, which is everybody is accountable for development, not just results.
Yeah.
Now, most people will think, well, it's the leader's job to develop their people. No, it's everybody's job to develop themselves and their team and their followers. I mean, it just there's a whole trickle thing that kind of comes into play here. If people aren't growing, they're stagnating and eventually dying. If the organization isn't growing, it's stagnating and dying. I do a lot of about 36 years now. I've worked with a client in Japan. It's one of the largest companies domestically in Japan. And their tagline is we grow great businesses by growing great people. And that company has got, I think, 37 different, and this is in-house, they've got 37 different training programs that they make available to their staff so that their staff can grow capability and confidence as they move up into the organization. We grow great businesses by growing great people. It can be that simple. It can be that, and then their retention, their employee retention is off the charts.
Right. Yeah.
They hold on to people.
Yeah. That's awesome. Love that. All right. So why does it matter? And we'll go through this one. We'll go through this quickly because we've talked about a lot of these. People follow leaders who care about who they are becoming. Boy, we could maybe not go through this quickly. People follow leaders who care about who they're becoming. One of the, when God, I used to do this all the time with my team in one-on-ones, is we would chart who they're becoming, both on a professional and personal basis. If you're becoming this professionally, what does this do for you personally? Is it in alignment or not in alignment with your personal goals? Is it because if it's not in alignment, does your spouse like this path? Do you have all of the things that go with it? Because if you're planning that person's growth, that becomes critically important. Capability, capacity, family, life, right? All those things, many more things. But people follow leaders who care about who they're becoming.
which drops directly into point number 2 here. Meaningful development increases emotional engagement. And
Oh
if
my
you've got
goodness.
emotional engagement, people begin to do things. Yeah, I asked this question a long time ago of a client I was working with. What's your job and what do you get paid for? And they went, what? I said, no, really, I'm curious. Yeah, what's your job and what do you get paid for? And if you're thoughtful here, you will answer those 2 questions in different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, particularly if you're emotionally engaged in what you're doing and it's meaningful to you, you're going to go far beyond what you get paid for.
Right.
Far beyond what you get paid for.
Right. That's so funny. Which I'm going to skip the next one because I just touched it the first one.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go to retention. Retention improves when careers feel intentional and not transactional. So just threw out those retention statistics. When that individual feels like their path is intentional and it's in alignment, it's congruent with their for the sake of what in their life, they're going to stay. And it has nothing to do with the fact that career growth is going to have new titles and more money and all of those. Right. All of those things are great. I was on a call this week with a gentleman and we were talking, and it was just so funny because he's being considered for CEO of a relatively large, about a $700 million consultancy. And we were chatting, and he mentioned, "I'm not really sure I want the job." And his last several words were, because it's not about the money. It's about what am I willing to give up?
There's a cost. Yeah.
So we spent some time exploring. So what does that mean? What do you mean give up? So when retention improves, when careers fail, because there is that analysis that goes on. What am I giving up?
Yep.
What is the cost associated with this? And when you have balanced that, you will see. You mentioned it about the company that you work with, that has the training programs. The retention remains because careers are intentional, not about title, not about money. At some point.
That's how you scale an organization, because now mentioned earlier that everybody in the organization is a leader in some way, shape, or form. So when you are paying attention to this stuff that we've been talking about here, you grow your leaders, or you're basically growing leaders. You may think of them as followers because you've got the title, but you're growing leaders. And that's what you want to be able to do. Leaders that are actually organized around influencing others, co-creating, coordinated action,
movement.
Yeah, in pursuit of worthy ideal. So, if you've got leaders doing that through the body of the organization, you're cooking with gas.
Yeah. Now you scale.
So to kind of wrap this up here, leadership's all about relationship. Ultimately, it's a high contact sport. Leadership is a high touch, high contact sport. It's all relationship, and it's not relying. You can't sustain it by relying on authority. Authority does not cut it once you graduated from high school. It probably didn't cut it before then, but command and control. Yeah, it's had its day. And it does have a place sometimes, but it's not. It can't be your default. Influencing.
It's part of your Swiss Army knife.
Yes.
At the right moment. And then you got to sustain it. We talked about it on a slide, sustain it with care, meaning, and trust.
And when you're doing this well, followers won't need to be convinced because they feel valued. I've been seen, I've been heard. You value me. I matter. And if I matter, I'm going to keep coming back.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep finding a way to play.
And they walk in the door and the first thing out of their mouth is, I had such a good day.
Yeah.
Such a good day. I don't know. That's what came out of my mouth when I got home yesterday, but I had such a good day.
I did too. Yeah.
Such a good day. And then last, when leaders commit to developing people commit back. We are a tribal species. When we commit, and it's authentic commitment, your team will commit back to you. And that's when you can move. That's when you move mountains. That's when you scale. That's when the team, when you walk up, you get up in the morning and you walk over to that rock and you put on the t-shirt that says, I am Sisyphus. And you grab that rock, your team walks over and taps you on the shoulder and says, no, 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 we got this.
Yeah.
Your job is to go find the next rock.
Yep.
Go find it.
Go
And
find
we'll,
it. And we'll be there.
We'll get that. But we got this one. You go.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. So there's our synthesis.
That's what followership is about. As leaders, you're developing followers.
Right.
You don't command alliance or allegiance. You develop followers. And that's a huge lesson for effective leaders today. Right. You have to be able to invest the time, not spend the time, but invest the time and the energy to make it happen. So, and I love this graphic. I thank you for putting this one together. And I'm gonna, kudos to you on this. You put this one together. I just like it. It's a pretty slide.
Thank you. Why, thank you very much.
So I'm gonna do something unusual here. I'm gonna just flip this, put it up here. Okay, as you're watching this right now, I'm gonna leave this up for just a moment. Take a screenshot. Take a screenshot of this because it captures essentially everything that we just talked about. And it's it's an attractive slide to begin with. But it also actually,
I got lucky,
summarizes what we're doing here. So there you go. The leader-follower contract. It's a mutual agreement, not a one-way transaction. And this, again, is the difference between manipulation and inspiration. Manipulation and influence. Who's winning? If we're both winning, you're being influential. If only one of you is winning, you as the leader, you're manipulating. You don't want to manipulate. So
there you go.
That's it. That's the one we're talking about.
All right, Dr. Bartlett.
That brings us to a close here. The hour is up for the power of you. Yeah. And we're going to take a little pause right now and sit back, take a deep breath, because I'm going to edit this and we're going to move to this. So this next piece here, folks, those of you that are listening live right now, this will be up for a little bit. Solo Business Mastermind, we've referenced this a couple of times, but we want to invite you. There's no obligation on this, but we want to invite you to explore something. If you're intrigued by what we're talking about in any of these Powers of You episodes, we want you to take it to the next level, take it to the next step.
Please.
Find a way to continue to grow yourself. And one of the ways that we're going to suggest is going to be very effective is what we're calling the Solo Business Mastermind. And we'd love to have a conversation with you about it. It's not a sales call, guaranteed. It's not a sales call. It's an exploration about what might be possible if you actually said, I want to explore how I can be a more effective leader. And we're looking at self as the primary focal point here, but also how does the self impact your business? Your business is a reflection of who you are. Your team is a reflection of who you are. And then you've got your people. How are you actually curating high quality followers? That's what we're looking at here. So the mastermind is designed to address these three areas. And we've got a new cohort. We do 2 of these a year, and they are a year-long cohort or a year-long program. And we run 2 of them simultaneously. And we stagger the start on them. Next one's starting in March. We've already got a wait list that is beginning to fill up. So you can go to leader.blainebartlett.com/LMM-GC. And there's a wait list. First of all, that'll put you onto a landing page that kind of gives you a description of what the mastermind program is about, what it focuses on, some of the stuff that we do in it and that sort of thing. But there's a number of different clickable areas there that will take you to a reg page where you can sign up for a conversation with Doland or myself. And it's the wait list. So it's a calendar link, basically, is what it is. It's a calendar link. And Doland and or myself will engage you in about a 20-minute conversation just to kind of answer questions and cross some T's and dot some I's.
There we go.
Yeah, consider it just kind of what we call a pheno invitation. Feel invited, not obligated. There is no obligation whatsoever with this, but we would love to have a conversation. So that's that little commercial blurb. And
there you go.
That's it. Look at that, right on top of the hour. This has been we're getting good at this.
We are professionals.
Thanks for listening. We will see you next Thursday on The Power of You.
See you then.
Okay.